Hey, gun people. Well, shit. This is hitting the news and crazy, and they're rioting, burn, loot, murder. I mean, BLM, whatever it stands for, is rioting and looting and burning and murdering and shooting at cops because I don't know why they do it. Just seems like every time they riot, it's the same people. So let's talk about this Breonna Taylor's killing and the aftermath. So the grand jury ended up finding one of the officers and charged him with shooting in another complex. The guy was shot at when he entered a warrant and returned 16 rounds at the guy. And so out of the charges, they said he was endangering the other people. From what I'm hearing, and I haven't done a whole bunch of research on this, I just got a hold of the search warrant because everybody keeps saying it wasn't her house and he didn't live there and the cops did a no-knock warrant and that's why she died. And look, everybody knows me. I'm not going to defend the cops if I don't think they're right. And I'm damn sure going to call them out when I think they're wrong. And I don't know all the facts, but from reading the search warrant, I'm leaning on the cop side on this one. So now I'm not leaning on the spray and pray. One cop fired 16 rounds and the other one fired, let's see, did it say how many he fired? I thought it said one of the cops. So see, requested a no-knock warrant. They actually knocked. And we'll talk about, you know what, I'll talk about it now or I'll forget it. What is a no-knock warrant? By law, when cops do a search warrant, we're required to give notice. And the knocking is notice. And notice is usually defined as you will bang on the door and attempt to get the occupants to voluntarily comply with the warrant by notifying them that you have a warrant and that you're demanding entry. Now, in order for that to actually happen, it takes time. A lot of people don't know if you're real cops. They want to look out the door. Sometimes they got to put on clothes. Sometimes they try and stall you so they can flush the dope down the toilet. So when you give notice, you take a chance that evidence may be destroyed. Normally, when you're knocking, giving notice... Oh, hang on. Okay, we were talking about notice, and when you're giving notice, you've got to make sure people hear you on the inside. You want to let them know, and you want to give them a chance to come out and submit to the warrant. Unfortunately, it has become a check mark giving notice, and cops no longer wait. When we knock on the door, we're supposed to give them a chance to come to the door and open the door. Nobody does that. You bang, police, search warrant, demand entry, and then you kick the door. So, I mean, the court should get a hold of this and say, you know what? You've got to wait 5 minutes from when you do it. Or we got to stop doing this killing people just to get a little evidence that we may or may not find. Remember, a search warrant doesn't mean that there's something inside. It means that there's a fair probability, pretty low standard, not absolute, not shall, must, nothing. Fair probability that you will find evidence. So we're kicking in doors and killing people on a fair probability. That's just not right. There's no reason that cops could not sit on a house and wait for somebody to leave. Everybody goes to the store. Everybody goes and gets gas. Everybody leaves the house at one point in time. You can rip them off in a car. You can rip them off at the gas station. I mean, there's a million ways to get people so you don't have to be kicking doors in the middle of the night, getting in shootouts, and get to claim, oh, I was in fear of my life and I killed everybody. Now, with that said, these cops, I think, were within the law, and they did what they were allowed to do, and they're not going to be charged, and they're not going to be held guilty of anything. But they did charge one guy. So I wanted to go over the warrant. So let's talk about the warrant here, because everybody is talking about this poor woman, this poor innocent woman that never did anything wrong. And okay, let's look at the warrant. And I will put a link to this warrant. I've got it posted on a website. I'll put a link in the description if you want to go read the warrant yourself. So we have the warrant here. And this first part basically just kind of says, okay, look, Louisville Metro Peace Officer, that there is probable cause and reasonable cause for the issuance of the search warrant attached by the attached affidavit, fully set forth within all the other legal mumbo jumbo. St. Gardens, Louisville, Kentucky, all surrounding curtilage. So this is the address, more particularly described as. I tell you, when we're doing warrants, you have to be very specific on what you're searching. It's a multifamily, 2-story apartment complex that consists of a beige vinyl siding, multicolored brick. This must be the multicolored brick. Brown shingles. They're not showing the shingles. The numbers 303 are black lettering arranged vertically on a single column on the apartment building. If you're going to put a picture, you should probably put a picture of the numbers. Maybe that's the numbers that I can't make out. The specific apartment has a sliding glass door that opens to a small patio. Maybe this. On the first floor of the complex. The specific apartment has a green door. I can't see the door. Maybe this is the green door. Doesn't look green to me from the photo. Pretty poor photo. A green door with a gold-plated number 4. Maybe there's a gold 4 on this. At the top center of the door. The apartment complex is located at St. Gard. So it sounds like, oh, here it is. 3003 Springfield Drive, number 4. So the 3003 is the 4 complex, and then there's 4 doors, 1, 2, 3, and 4 of 303. All right. So here, what are we looking for here? Gold-plated doors. We jump down to and or a vehicle or vehicles described. So they're looking for these vehicles, and this warrant covers these vehicles. 2017 Dodge, Mississippi registration, blah, blah, blah. VIN number, here's the registration. Here's a picture of the Dodge they're looking for. This is in case while we're serving a warrant, we have guys outside securing so nobody walks in on us. Basically setting up a perimeter. If this car drives by, the other officers know, hey, because all officers involved in the warrant should have a copy, or at least been given a copy and read in a pre-briefing, kind of like, okay, here's where we're going, here's what we're looking for, here's the house, here's where you're going to sit, you need to sit here, you need to be here, your job is to watch for this car, watch for people, stop anybody, blah, blah, blah. Everybody gets their marching orders. And usually the case agent who's ever writing a warrant gives that briefing. All right, let's see. And a 2016 Impala, white in color. I hate that white in color. A white Chevrolet Impala. Why has it got to be white in color? Okay, Kentucky registration, blah, 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 blah. And or a person, black male, Jermarcus Glover, Adrian Walker, or Breonna Taylor. So Miss Breonna Taylor was actually in the warrant, which means when we find these people, we can search them. Items to be seized. This is a really poorly written warrant in my book. This is like the gamut. This is supposed to be very specific. This guy just throws everything in here. Marijuana, cocaine, heroin, methamphetamine, all illegal narcotics paraphernalia described, blah, blah, blah. Any monies that proceeds from drug. Well, how are you going to know of it? I mean, any safes used, illegal monies, any weapons that may be used. So they're just saying, look, we're going in there looking for drugs, money, and weapons. And you can't really say that. Why are you looking for all 3 of these? Did you do a controlled buy on all 3 of these? Do you have independent witness that somebody bought marijuana, somebody bought cocaine, somebody bought heroin? This shouldn't be. See, this is where cops get into what I consider shitty warrants. The DA didn't review it well, and if I was a defense attorney, I'd attack the shit out of this for being in violation of being specific on what you're searching for. There's no reason to have all these listed. Now, if I know that they did 3 marijuana buys and 1 cocaine buy, I can put marijuana and cocaine. And if I find heroin and meth, I still get to seize it because it's illegal. But to list has what we're looking for, marijuana, cocaine, heroin, meth, without saying why we're looking for these, and we'll get down the affidavit, they do not say why. And normally if I'm looking for a red shirt and a ski mask with holes in the eyes and the nose, that's because that information was used in the bank robbery, and I think this guy committed the bank robbery, therefore I want to search his house, and in his house I expect to find evidence of the bank robbery. And what evidence I expect to find is his red shirt and his black ski mask. Now, if he used a gun, then I'm looking for a black revolver gun. If he's using an automatic, then I'm looking for a silver, black, whatever the automatic is, and I describe that gun. That's what being specific means in a warrant. This Boilermaker point blank, I'm looking for anything and everything is bullshit. This is a poorly written warrant. I think they're going to be able to challenge this warrant. They should challenge the warrant. It's bullshit. All right, let's see where else we get. Any safes or illegal stored narcotics and money. Now, he could have put illegal stored narcotics or money. I wouldn't have a problem with that. Any safes? Well, if there's any safes in there, you've got the apartment. So the apartment means any safes, briefcases, locked bookshelves, anything locked. You've got the whole apartment, everything in the apartment. There's no reason to put any safes unless you have an informant that says he keeps the money and drugs in a safe. Now, we're looking for a safe, but we explain that in our affidavit why we're being specific for a safe. Again, this appears to be just, I'm throwing everything against the wall, see what sticks. Any weapons that may be used to protect. You can't just say any weapons. How do you know it's going to be attacked? If you're looking for weapons, you got to know, hey, one time when a guy bought it, a person showed that he had a silver revolver in his waistband. Therefore, I'm looking for a silver revolver because I think that was used in a crime. If I find any other weapons, I can run them, I can search them, but I can't just say every weapon in the house is automatically illegal and connected to the crime. Now, if everyone in the house is a convicted felon and nobody's allowed to possess a weapon in the house, then I can articulate that fact and say, because the only person that live here and get mail at this place are so-and-so, 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 and they all have outstanding felony warrants, they've all been involved in violent crime, therefore they are not allowed to possess firearms, and we have multiple sources that say there are firearms in the house. Therefore, I'm looking for any firearms that these people are not allowed. Now, you could be looking for any firearms, but to be looking for all this shit without justifying it is BS. Let's see, any paperwork for record of narcotics, we always say any pay and owe sheets. Pay and owe means I paid this guy 14 and he owes me this much. I paid him 20, he owes me 40, blah, blah, blah. We call them just pay and owe sheets. They're records of narcotic sales. I'm okay with that. That may indicate transport, concealment, or sales. What? This warrant is very, very generic. This is a paper cutter. He copy and pasted this. He has not had a warrant challenge or thrown out for being too vague. This is very vague when it says, describe the property you're looking for. Okay, any papers or evidence living room which may indicate financial activity stemming from illegal. What does that mean? If a guy's got a bank account, I'm going to go, oh, that must be stemming from this. Well, I don't even know why they're looking at that. I can look for financial documents. I would just look for indicia. Anything that proves these people live here, including bank accounts, utility receipts, phone, internet, storage receipts, anything that shows that these people are living here and getting their mail here. I don't have to say financial activity stemming from illegal. What the hell does that mean? Any electronic recording media, computers and software, cameras, or such devices that may be used to hold or document illegal narcotics. Okay, I'm kind of okay with that because people commonly use that. Any items that may be evidence of other violations of the Kentucky Revised Statute. You don't really even need to do that. If I'm searching, any evidence I find, I can seize. I'm looking for these things, and everything else is gravy. I mean, if I go in a house and I'm looking for a freaking gun used in a robbery, and I find a dead body, I don't lose a dead body because I didn't put dead body in my warrant. I had no reason to be looking for a dead body. I couldn't articulate why I had a warrant to search for a dead body. So I don't need to put the dead body in a warrant. And when I find the dead body, which sometimes happens when we're doing warrants, we end up finding either a homicide or somebody really sick and they end up dying later, turns into a homicide. Well, that's okay. We got it. Now, if we find a dead body and we want to start searching for evidence of that murder, we have to do a new warrant. And the new warrant must be warrant so-and-so, number so-and-so, while being served by these officers. We're in there for this, and when we entered, we found a dead body. Because we found a dead body, we have reason to believe that there'll be evidence of the dead body, possible guns, stab wounds, whatever. And now we're going to write a new warrant saying what we want to search for related to the homicide, and then we go back and search for the homicide evidence. That's how you do it. So this guy is just throwing everything, so maybe he doesn't have to go do another warrant, but he's being very vague. This is a poorly warrant in my book. If you find any of the above property or any part thereof, you will seize the property and therefore deliver it forthwith to me or any court. And what's the offense, respect property, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Basically, you just, anytime we seize evidence at a warrant, we have to do what's called a return receipt to the judge. So whatever I find, I have to fill out a receipt on scene, and I have to leave a copy with the residents in case they're not there, because we can serve a search warrant when you're not home. And I leave saying, hey, a search warrant was served at this time. I leave them a copy of the warrant. and then I leave them a copy of the receipt. These are the items we took. You know, envelope with your mail, envelope with your bank information, 4 pounds of marijuana, 3 pounds of meth, 2 firearms, etc. So anything I take, I put on that list. Now when I go back in order to finish the warrant, because the judge signed and told us to go search, now I have to do what's called a return warrant to the judge and say, Your Honor, on this date we served the warrant, and attached is a receipt of all items seized at this warrant, which we believe to be evidence of the crime, blah, blah, blah. And then we attach the receipt of the items we took. And now the judge knows that we did it. And now on my next warrant, I can say, from my experience, I've served 37 warrants, and out of those 37 warrants, 36 of them found evidence of a crime on which I was searching. That means that I'm pretty good at writing warrants. Now, most cops aren't going to put, I've served 10 warrants, and I've never found any evidence. They should put that, but judges don't ask, DAs don't ask, because it makes them look pretty freaking incompetent that they're running around doing a bunch of warrants and they're never finding shit. But I digress. All right, here we go. So here's this warrant affidavit for the search warrant. Basically, this is the same, describing the place to be searched, the things, and then here comes acting on the information received. Affiant, your affiant is a person who usually writes the warrant, conducted the following independent investigation. I don't know how independent it is, but he conducted it. On 120, affiant had LMPD, don't know who that is, tech unit, place a poll camera at the intersection of blah, 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 within an hour of surveillance. Affiant witnessed approximately 15 to 20 vehicles go to and from this address. Okay, within a short period of time. Is that illegal? No. But if you get calls from the public and you get calls from neighbors saying, hey, they're running drugs out there, I always see in the middle of the night, they're coming out with guns, they're smoking dope, they're doing dope, they're acting crazy, I think they're selling drugs here. Now you put a camera up and you confirm what the neighbors told you, you're building your probable cause. Okay. Avenue in a short period of time, which is indicative of trafficking of narcotics. Well, not necessarily. I don't know if it's indicative of trafficking. It can be indicative, but it's not. You know, the person may be running a business out of her house, a legitimate business. You don't know. Maybe she has a lot of family friends. Maybe she's planning a wedding and a lot of people coming over getting fitted for tux. You don't know if it's indicative of narcotics. But this guy evidently was allowed to let this pass. If I was reviewing this warrant either as a supervisor or as a DA, I'd be like, you said it's indicative of traffic. Why do you say that? Well, then the guy would have to say, well, in the last 20 narcotic investigations that I've conducted, all apartment addresses who had complaints of the neighbors had high traffic volume. And that was one indicator. Later, when we ran some of the plates, most of the plates came back to people who had narcotic arrests, prior narcotic arrests. We also sent a CI into residence and he bought drugs and left. So then I could say all that coupled together leads me to believe they're selling narcotics. But the fact that there's high traffic and he's saying, which is indicative of traffic of narcotics, it can be a sign. It could be. I wouldn't word it so thing. If I was a defense attorney, I'd be eating him up on that. But anyway, on 1/2/2020, detectives observed Adrian Walker, date of birth, in operation of the listed red 2017 Dodge Charger, go to and from 2424 Elliott. Why are we talking about 2024 Elliott? I thought the address that we were searching was 3003. So why are we getting a warrant for 3003 number 4, but we've got all this activity at 2424? Maybe it'll get cleared up when I read this. I just kind of opened it up and scanned it real quick, so I'm going line by line now for you guys. Detectives observed Adrian, Mr. Walker drove westbound on Elliott Avenue at a high rate of speed, to which a traffic stop was conducted. Sometimes we'll call this a pretext stop. We'll have an officer rip the person off that leaves the house we're watching, and we go, dude, that dude just showed up. We don't know if he bought dope or whatever. We want him ID'd, because we can run the plate and it may come back to register owner. But we know most crooks either rent cars, borrow their girlfriend's car, borrow their parents' car, or borrows another drug dealer's car. So they never usually drive their own car. So just because we run the plate, we may not know who the driver is. And in order to positively ID the identifier, we'll say we want the cop to do a pretext stop. We'll have a marked unit in the area and we'll go, yo, 174, David, pick off this red Camaro that's leaving and ID the driver. He was speeding when he left. And the cop will get behind him, light him up and say, hey, you were speeding. Let me see your driver's license, registration. And the guy will go, you just pulled me over because I'm black. It's not fair. And then we'll go through all that. And then we'll get his ID, and he won't give his ID. Then we'll get his number, and we'll run it. And we'll run the date of birth, and we'll find out who he is. And maybe the officer will snap a picture of him with the phone, or he'll make sure his body cam gets a picture of the guy's face. Now we know who this guy is for later in investigation, unless we want to rip him off, whatever. Because we may go in there later, and then when we do a warrant, one of the guys go, hey, man, the guy that drives a red Camaro that came in here, you know, he killed a girl, and I know where the body's at, and I know where the gun he used. So now we want to know who this guy is. So normally when you're dealing with these people, they're all criminals on different levels doing different things. But I digress. Let's see. Mr. Walker conducted a traffic stop for speed. Detectives could smell a strong odor of marijuana coming from the vehicle. Okay, so he smelled marijuana coming from the vehicle. Is that enough to get a search warrant for a house? No. Maybe enough to get a search warrant for the vehicle, not for the house. A small amount of marijuana was located inside the vehicle, along with a large, undetermined amount of currency. How do you find money and not know how much it is? What? If I was a DA reading this, and I usually, when I review things like this, cops, sometimes rookie cops would ask me to review a warrant. Hey, man, would you look at this? My first question would be, what the hell is undetermined amount of money? You found the money. How much was it? Well, it was $200. Well, then it's not undetermined. Well, it might have been $205. Well, did you count it? Yeah. Did you seize it? Yeah. Well, what's on a freaking receipt? $205. Then it's not undetermined. Put $205 was found. Now, if you seize $5 freaking dollars and you don't want to put that you're a dumbass and you see somebody money $5 saying it was money drug related, so now you want to use something slick like undetermined amount, I'd call bullshit. And a defense attorney should call bullshit. U.S. currency, index center console is in a vehicle. Okay, number 3. Damn, this dude. What? Dude, does nobody know what a freaking return or a paragraph is anymore? Can't you freaking hit return so I can read this? If I was a freaking judge reviewing this, I'd be like, dude, this is freaking hard. I've had judges that would probably chew my ass if I brought them some shit like that. They'd be like, dude, take this freaking warrant and go put some damn paragraphs in it. They wouldn't read a warrant like this. I mean, this just tells me they're sloppy DAs, they're sloppy cops, and they're sloppy judges reviewing this. Nobody's holding anybody to standard. It's just like, fuck it, we need to go arrest somebody. So what if somebody gets killed? We'll just give a warrant. We're all protected. We all got immunity. What the hell? That's bullshit. Anyway, I digress. Here we go, number 3. Adrian Walker has a pending court case. Who is Walker? Is that one of the dude identified? Yeah, that's Mr. Walker here. Okay, so Mr. Walker was in a car with marijuana. Mr. Walker has a pending court case, convicted felon in possession of a firearm, drug paraphernalia, buy and possess, trafficking of marijuana of less than 8 ounces. Man, if you got less than 8 ounces, you ain't trafficking much. What are you guys? You ain't got nothing else better to do than do bullshit marijuana? Trafficking and controlled substance, first degree, first offense, cocaine, 4 grams. Okay, 4 grams. That's kind of a good bit of, he's probably selling if he's got 4 grams cocaine, or he's a very serious user. So they give the case number. Okay, so now our probable cause is we've got a guy leaving the house with a lot of traffic, and when we stop him, he's got marijuana in the car, he's got an undetermined amount of money because we're too stupid to count it and put the amount, and he's got a prior case for drugs. Okay, we're getting pretty good that this guy for sure is involved in drugs and or drug trafficking. Still don't know how we get to the house, but we're getting there. On 1/8, all this happened on 1/2. So we're talking, 6 days later. At approximately 13:30, our detectives observe Jamarcus Glover. Mr. Glover, Dr. Glover, operating the above-listed red Dodge Charger. Is that the same Dodge Charger Elliot was driving? Did I miss? Let me go back. See, this is why it's not clear to where I have to go back and ask questions. Dodge Charger, 2017 red Dodge Charger. So now we have a different person driving the same car. This is very common. Did they say who's the car registered to? Let's see here. Operation listed a red Charger in Avenue Sharp Turn. Mr. Walker drove. So it doesn't say who the vehicle's registered. Detectives could smell a small. See, this would have been clearer to me. This a report and an affidavit's got to flow. It's got to tell a story. If I want to connect these two Chargers, I ought to say he was driving a red Charger. The red Charger is a registered owner of blah, 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 which is not this guy and not this guy. But whatever. Maybe it's this guy and not this guy. Maybe it's this guy and not this guy. I'm not sure. But I want to know who's the car registered to and why are two drug dealers and felons driving it. Obviously, they're sharing it. They have multiple access. It goes more to they're committing criminal acts. They're going to and from a house that's probably selling drugs. They're either buying or selling their drugs there. Okay, I can paint that picture a little bit. Here we go. James Glover operating the above listed vehicle. Walk over to property 2425. Did we change? We were at 2424. Now we're at 2425 and 2427 of Elliott Avenue near the chain link fence that ends with the amount of large rocks appearing to be disturbed. Dr. Glover is seen on a zoomed camera dropping a large blue cylinder-shaped object near the rocks and then appears to be covering it up to avoid detection. Okay, that kind of paints a little bit of a picture that he's obviously dropping something off and he doesn't want to hand it to somebody, and it could be a drop point to whether he's either dropping off money where drugs will be left there, or he's dropping off drugs and money will be left there. Again, that seems a little hinky. And now we have no paragraph, so let me make sure I'm on the right line. Number 5, Dr. Glover has the following pending court cases. Convicted of a felon of firearm, convicted of felon in possession of firearm, receiving stolen property, buy and possess, trafficking. Okay, so both these doctors are outstanding students working on their doctorate degree. Affiant has concluded. That's it? That's your probable cause to search his house? Affiant has concluded or has conducted surveillance multiple times on site near the physical location of 2424 and through the poll camera. Affiant has witnessed on occasion subjects running from 2424 to the rock pile near the property of the line of 2527 where Glover dropped the suspected narcotics, and then the subjects run back to 2424 Avenue. Okay, so what, and this guy, again, this is a poorly written affidavit to me, because I mean, you can read between the lines at what he's saying, but I mean, he could make this so much clearer. Look, where the guy dropped the thing, which is common for drug dealers to use a drop point and drop concealed items where they know other criminals involved in their criminal acts will come in later and collect those items. And on this date, watching a poll camera, people from 2424 ran over and did collect the items that was dropped there in the blue container. Therefore, I think they're using that as a drop point. They're bringing, I mean, you can clean this up, but this warrant just freaking sucks to me and it's hard to read. Drop the suspected narcotic. Affiant believes through my 10 years of narcotics-related detective work and experience that Glover and Walker are the sources of narcotics for the trap house. What's a trap house? We need to define that, and he does. Where drugs are sold. So on the streets or in law enforcement, they use the term trap house where drugs are sold. So he's saying through his experience, he thinks that house is a trap house because they're doing, and he could explain this in a warrant better, because these people are acting like other cases I've worked and similar scheme and design to where they use the same pattern of transferring narcotics without doing hand-to-hand transfers. Therefore, they use a drop spot and they pick it up later. That way, if they do get caught, two people aren't caught doing hand-to-hand transfers, which is harder to prosecute, which is why the drug criminals use this type of technique when transferring drugs. I mean, come on, dude. Fucking explain shit. Why you gotta make it so damn... When the narcotics being dealt from 2424 Elliott Avenue are low, when the narcotics being dealt from 2424 Elliott Avenue are low, when the narcotics are low, pedestrian and vehicle traffic is minimal. How do you know when they're low? And how do you know when it's high? Why are you making this assumption with nothing to back it up? Mr. Walker and R. Glover show up operating a red Dodge Charger and appear to re-up the drug house. Again, these terms, re-up. Put in parentheses, it appears that he's delivering more drugs when they get low through the blue container. Because as vehicle traffic goes down, Mr. Glover shows up, drops off the blue container, and then once the blue container is picked up, high traffic immediately picks up afterwards. That paints a better picture. Who the hell is training these damn cops? All right, the drug out. Mr. Walker and Glover are seen either entering or exiting 24. Now, not only are they dropping shit off outside, they're entering. Which, as a defense attorney, Your Honor, if he's dropping off drugs, why would he be entering? He was actually dropping off some money for his nephew because he was helping him get through college. There was never drugs in the blue container. If he was dropping off drugs, why would he drop it off next door where it could possibly be stolen? If he has access to the house and he goes in and out, according to this officer's affidavit, why wouldn't he just bring the drugs in and out? That's going to be a problem because this guy's jumping to conclusions in my book. Are seen, once they leave the area, normal pedestrian and vehicular traffic resumes. So are you saying they're controlling the traffic? I mean, this guy's kind of, I can read between the lines because I know what he's trying to say, but you don't want to have a jury try to read that. You shouldn't have a DA trying to read through it, and a DA shouldn't be reading this as if, oh, I know what you're talking about. The DA ought to be reading this as, when I go to prosecution, the jury is going to get a copy of this, and they're going to have to understand it. So I don't want you writing just for me and you to understand. I want you writing for someone on the jury to understand. I want you painting a picture so the jury will understand. That'll make my prosecution easier. It makes you look like a more competent officer instead of a freaking idiot. Rick, you can't call him an idiot. You're always picking on him. Shut up, you freaking idiot. All right, on the property line, blah, blah. Affiant has observed the listed red Dodge Charger make frequent trips to 2424 Avenue to 303 Springfield. Both Glover and Walker have been known to operate the listed vehicle. This is a really bad way. If he's trying to connect all this bullshit to 3003 to get a warrant, because this is the target address, right? We want to get 3003 number 4. So all this should be about 3003. Instead, it's all about 2424. So right here, I think he's trying to connect it to the warrant. Affiant has observed the listed Dodge Charger make frequent trips from 2424 Elliott Drive to 303 Springfield. Both Glover and Walker have been known to operate the vehicle. So we already know they both operate the vehicle. You've already said that. When they're going to 3003, are they bringing anything or are they picking up anything? I mean, what is their behavior when they go here? Again, if I have these questions, why didn't the freaking DA that signed this and the judge that signed it have these questions? So what? You see him go to the address. You probably, if you followed him enough, probably saw him go to Racetrack for gas or to the Shell store for gas or to Walmart to get food. Does that mean you're going to have a warrant at those places too? I mean, how is this connecting to 3003? This is weak so far to me. Let's see if he ties it together. Number 8, on 1/16, again, 8 days later. During the afternoon hours, affiant witness Glover operating the listed Dodge Charger. Okay. Glover pulled up and parked at 303. Affiant then observed Mr. Glover walk directly into apartment 4. Now that's good that he saw him walk directly. I would have put he entered the residence as if he knew it was unlocked, he didn't use a key, and he walked right in without announcing himself, which indicates to me that he either lives there or the people know that he lives there and he has full and free access to the apartment. I would have wrote that statement in there because that explains what I believe. This guy just says he walked, what did he say? He walked directly into the apartment. I mean, come on, dude. After a short period of time, Mr. Glover was seen exiting the apartment. Okay, he walked in and walked out. Boy, that's suspicious. You walk in and out of an apartment. How many times does that happen every day? Freaking criminals everywhere. We should just be searching everybody's house on this. And was suspected. What? He was seen exiting the apartment with a suspected USPS package in his right hand. Why was this suspected? Maybe he'll clear it up. Glover, no, he didn't clear it up. So again, I'm asking too many damn questions on this warrant that the freaking prosecutor should have asked and made him answer, or the judge should have went, why is the USPS thing? Clear that up. So what? He went in the house and came out. What are you implying? Well, Your Honor, I'm implying that because he went in there, they know him. Well, you didn't put that. You just put he went in and he came out. Very poor written warrant. Straight to 2605. This is a new address. So he got into the car, drove straight to 2605 Muhammad Alibaba Street Boulevard, which is a known drug house. How do you know it's a known drug house? You can't just say it's, well, he went to Walmart, which is a known drug house. I want to search Walmart. What kind of bullshit is that? How do you know it's a freaking known drug house? Did you do a warrant there? Have you made arrests there? Have we done a search? I mean, it would be very easy. Known as a known drug house. I know it's a drug house because I've served 2 warrants there where we received drugs and people. I've had surveillance. The Narcotics Task Force has served 13 warrants there and we've always got drugs. I mean, you got to justify why you know it's a drug house. You just can't make these freaking statements in an affidavit as if they're gospel and true without fucking justifying why. Man, this warrant is freaking shitty. The more I read it, the more I'm like, these guys are freaking idiots. Even though I think this warrant will be found good and the death will be found good. Rick, you're just taking their side because they're a cop. I'm not taking their side. I'm just telling you how the law works. Affiant verified through UPS Postal Inspector that Glover has been receiving packages at 303 number 4. Okay, so this ties it pretty good. We got Glover driving a car that we know is coming and picking up stuff. We got him dropping off things. We got him going to multiple houses that we know have prior drug activity. So now I believe that because he has all these drug activities, he's a prior felon, he's blah, 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 he's going in these drug houses, he's leaving, he's frequenting houses with a lot of people. We've got a poll, we watched him go to 3 different drug houses and he frequents all 3 of them and he has unfeathered access to all 3. He doesn't need a key and he obviously doesn't live there because he's going everywhere. I don't know where he lives. I mean, I would have put in there, Glover's address is so-and-so. Why is he going to this place if he owns it or lives there? I mean, I would have painted a better picture. Affiant verified through UPS that Affiant knows through his training and experience, that's always the key when I got to throw in some bullshit that I can't justify, that it is not uncommon for drug traffickers to receive mail and packages at different locations to avoid. Okay, I'm okay with that and I've used that statement. It is very common. People who transport drugs and do illegal activities, whether it's drugs or anything else, will commonly use drop places or drop addresses or vacant buildings or friends, parents, or any house that can't be connected to them. So if it gets caught or popped or arrested, they can claim it wasn't me. Somebody just put my name on that. It wasn't sold to me. I didn't know it was coming. I never got it. So this is very common and this is commonly known between most people who work with drugs. Affiant believes through his training and experience that Mr. Glover may be keeping narcotics and or proceeds from selling narcotics at 303 Springfield number 4. Why? Why do you think that? Because he got a UPS package? Because he gets mail there? Affiant has observed the above listed white Chevrolet Impala at 2424 on different occasions. The vehicle is registered to Taylor. Now we're tying in Miss Taylor, everybody that's saying she was an innocent person that never did anything wrong. She was in her house sleeping and the cops kicked the door and shot her for no reason. The media has been lying. The politicians have been lying. Everybody's lying. Nobody's read this affidavit to see how much evidence they got on how these houses are connected and how this was not some poor wrong warrant and the cops just screwed the pooch and did nothing right. They put video surveillance up. They watched them. They watched them do drops. They got people all involved in drugs. They got high traffic. They got complaints from the neighbors. There's all kind of evidence to get a warrant for this house. And Miss Beyonce is letting him drive her car. Go figure. Boyfriend number 3. The excuse will be, oh, they were only boyfriend for a short time. They were on and off. They weren't boyfriend and girlfriend. Those are all the common things that we get. No, they broke up years ago. Oh, he stole the car. He didn't have permission to drive it. She was innocent. She was just studying for a doctor test, and she had no idea that all this was going on at her apartment. Yeah, okay, whatever. So, Miss Poor Taylor, who is the poor victim that everybody's making out that were rioting and killing cops and doing all this shit because nobody's read the damn warrant. Let's see, Affiant verified through multiple computer databases that on 220, Jamarcus drive number 4 at his current home address. Why did they box out his address, I wonder? It says number 4, so I'm assuming that's the target address. Glover and Walker, our acquaintance, have been seen going to and from 2424 Elliott. Additionally, the red Charger has been driven by these individuals mentioned within the affidavit. Affiant has witnessed during physical surveillance the suspected drug traffickers sharing the red. Well, okay, suspected drug traffickers, I guess you can say that. We've got them both driving a Charger, okay, on numerous times to transport and store suspected narcotics. Well, you know, he's writing this as if he knows they're got narcotics and he knows they're drug dealers. Look, I can suspect drug traffickers and they're both driving the car, and through my experience and training, I think they're transporting, or I believe they're transporting narcotics, because that's a common scheme and design for people who transport narcotics to share vehicles and to frequent the same area and the same location and the way they're dropping things off. I mean, hopefully he'll tie this together at the end and say everything I've been saying to paint a picture. Now we drop down to 2016 Impala, white and collar, Kentucky registration, and or that's it. That is a shitty affidavit, people. Without me explaining and putting in all my narrative, how the hell does a DA and a judge say, man, this is a good warrant? I believe you have probable cause. You've articulated this very factually. You've painted a great picture, and I totally can understand why you reached the conclusions you reach. And with your experience and training, I trust your opinion, and I think your opinion is probable cause, and I'm going to issue this warrant. That's what the DA and the judge should have done. And reading this warrant, and that's what they issued, they didn't do shit. This is a cheesy ass, bad warrant. Lacks specificity in the what they're searching for and why. Nowhere in his affidavit did he say, I saw heroin, I saw meth, I saw meth labs, I had an informant buy meth. So how the hell do we get meth, heroin, cocaine, and marijuana in this warrant? He's going to say, well, the guy had marijuana and cocaine one time doing a traffic stop. He wasn't even leaving this address when he had the marijuana and cocaine with him. So you're getting a warrant for another place that he went to when he wasn't even leaving when he had the drugs. So this warrant to me, again, poorly written. Will it stand up? Yes. Do they have enough? Yes. Is this warrant, just with the information they have, would any judge say, yeah, it could have been written better, but with what they said, I agree. There's probable cause that they're probably dealing drugs, and there probably is going to be drugs and or in the house. All I'm hearing on the news is poor Beyonce didn't do nothing. The guy wasn't there. They arrested the guy before. They didn't find any drugs or anything in the house, and she's an innocent victim. Well, I don't know if they found drugs or not. There's no return warrant here on what they seized. So I don't know whether they found anything or not. If they found something, they should release they found something. Maybe that would stop it. I think some of the PD ought to be getting this warrant out saying, look, the media is lying, and they're saying that Miss Beyonce wasn't involved, and it was the wrong house, and the cops hit it, and we were looking for the wrong guy. That's all lies. We were looking for her. It was her house. It was her car frequenting other known drug locations. They were going back and forth, doing drops. Both people had prior felons. She knew what was going on. She gave them access to her house and her car, and we had probable cause to enter that house. That warrant was justified. It may have been approved. I don't see anywhere on here where approved night service. Normally, you have to get that approved to void knock and notice. I do not see that in this warrant. So, why is everybody saying this is a no-knock warrant? Oh, here we go. Right here. Affiant is requesting a no-knock entry on the premise due to the nature of how these drug traffickers operate. These drug traffickers have a history of attempting destroying evidence, have cameras on location that compromise detectives once they approach the dwelling or made, and have a history of fleeing from law enforcement. So, they did request a no-knock warrant, and the judge signed it. Normally, we had a box, and the judge actually had to part yes or no to make sure he read. When you just slide it in here, in this poorly written warrant, you just kind of slide it in, the judge may say later, you know what, I didn't even know it said that no-knock. I was reading the warrant and I missed that. It wasn't clear. And the reason why, when we did our warrants, we put a box, approve or disapprove. The judge had to circle either approve or disapprove right under here. So a judge couldn't say later, I didn't approve the no-knock warrant. You didn't point that out. I missed it when I was reading it. Remember, judges have immunity. I mean, there's some judges that do not even read the freaking warrant. You bring it to them, they go right to the page, sign it, and say, good luck, and will never even open it. Now, they didn't do that for me. They tried it, and I went, Your Honor, I want you to read this. It's got some things in there that are kind of tricky. I don't want this biting us in the butt. I'd prefer if you read this. So I've had to ask a judge to actually read my warrant before, because some judges get lazy and they don't care, or they trust the cops and they go, dude, you brought me, I've written several, close to probably 300 warrants. So a lot of the judges knew me, and when I brought a warrant, they knew what kind of cop I was and what I wrote. So they were willing to take me at face value, that if I was there and I was swearing that everything was true, it was legit. But you know what? The rules say you're supposed to read the freaking warrant when you sign it. Read it. I don't want to be complacent or be involved in some conspiracy with you, and you didn't read a warrant, and now they ask me on the stand, did the judge read your warrant? And I've either got to lie, which I ain't doing, or say, no, he did not read it. So you knew the judge didn't read your warrant. He signed it, and you went ahead and executed it knowing that the judge didn't even know what was in there. You violated the law, didn't you? Didn't you, Detective Gore? I didn't want to be in that position. So I was always covering my ass, and I didn't get caught up in this good old boy, we're all friends, and we're all honest, and we're all, you know what? We follow the freaking rules and we cover our ass. So that's my deal on this warrant. I think it's total BS that the picture that the media is painting, that we had no evidence and this poor doctor student got killed for no reason. Don't forget, if cops go in any house and you start shooting, cops are going to shoot back. I don't care how right you are. I don't care how well you know the law. I don't care how many attorneys you have. I don't care how much you want to get on the news next day. I don't care if at your gravesite on your headstone said, I was right and the cops were wrong. I don't care. If you shoot at cops entering your home, you need to be ready to be in a firefight, because cops are going to shoot back. No ifs, ands, buts, coconuts. And this guy shot when they entered the house. Now, I'm not saying a guy that shot maybe didn't know it was the cops. Maybe he was protecting his drug house. Maybe he thought it was other drug guys playing as cops, trying to steal his shit. Whatever. He fired on the cops first, and he got lit up, and Beyonce got killed in the process. And you know what? Shit happens. If you don't lay with dogs, you'll get fleas. If you hang out with drug dealers and they start shooting at cops, you're probably going to get shot. Rick, you're just cruel and mean and you don't care and you're a bootleg jackhammer cop. Whatever. That's my take on this Beyonce shit with the poor innocent victim. All right, we'll end that there. I know I went long.